This short video demonstrates how ALM Octane can address one of the challenges of productive collaboration between development and testing teams. In ALM Octane, we can get the real-time visibility into code coverage by populating code coverage data using REST APIs. The code coverage metrics can improve the collaboration among teams by providing the code bases that have very low test coverage. In turn, this can improve the quality of the software without compromising on delivering the software at speed and quality, that is continuous integration and continuous delivery. Before we go into the demonstration, let us look at the tools that are used for this project. So we have Eclipse as an IDE, Git as a source code management repository, Apache Maven build management tool, Jenkins as a continuous integration server. We used Java for development, and then Groovy for updating, parsing the Git logs, and parsing the Jacoco code coverage metrics, and then populating that data back into Octane using REST APIs. JUnit uses for unit testing tool, and code coverage tool is Jacoco, and finally application lifecycle management. Octane is used here for viewing the results in Octane. So this shows a typical example that you can see. We have features on the left, and for those features, user stories are developed, and developers start creating source code files for implementing those functionality described in user stories and defects. Now let us see the demonstration. So let me bring up the integrated development environment. So we are seeing Eclipse here as the IDE. So I'm going to go and make a change here. As a developer, I start implementing for those user stories, and I'm going to make a change. So let's say I'm going to add modified the code here. So I can go and provide that information, whatever I need to do. So once I'm satisfied with my modification, then I can go and commit that changes. So let's go to the Git repository here, and I'm going to commit that change. So let me look at the status first to see if there are any changes. Yes, obviously I made a change, and I'm going to make a commit here. So for committing, usually whenever there is a change made to a source code file, the developer will be associating with a particular user story. So let's say in this case I'm providing user story 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the one I worked on before. So I'm going to commit that user story. So now I see that story is committed, and I'll come back to the Git in a moment. So I want to show you the Jenkins pipeline here. So here I have two jobs, and you see that it is pending. It has triggered this particular job where it starts building based on the commit message I did, and it also going to run few test cases. Following the test case execution, it's going to do the code coverage, right? This job also going to trigger another job in Jenkins, which will go and parse the Git log files, and then parse the Jacoco source code files, and calculate the coverage metrics, and then it's going to update the Octane using the REST APIs. So here you can see that second job is running. So let's see what really happens in the backend. So as the developer starts committing, we also get the log files. So here I can go and run this, and I can see the changes along with the commit made by the developers. So here I can see that for this particular user story, this is the file that is corresponding to that user story, right? So I can go and write these contents to a file. So here I have a file that shows how it looks like. So basically I exported that message into a file, and I'm going to use that file here to parse that and map those user stories to the corresponding source code files. And also going to get that Jacoco code coverage metrics. So I have some code here that takes care of parsing that Jacoco file and getting the relevant information. And finally, I'm going to go and update that back into Octane. So you see that information here. So I'm going to populate that value back into the coverage percentage. Okay, so that's the background here. So let's go into the Octane to look into the details. So in the Octane dashboard, first of all, I could see that for user stories are good by the percentage of code coverage. So here 0 to 25%, about 15 stories are there, 26 to 50%, 2 stories, and so on. So obviously it's not that great. So we need to still improve the code coverage metrics, or make sure that test cases cover more percentage of code. So we can also group that by the features. Here we have feature. So for this particular feature, there are there are about 6 user stories, and it shows the breakdown of the coverage. I can also go and look at from a team perspective how they are doing. So here I have many different teams. So if I want to see, let's say 0 to 25%, so here I can see Jeff team 4 out of 4. So all the 4 user stories have poor user percentage. Whereas if I go and select, for example, 51 to 75% and 70%, Rena and Samuel are better. So this way we can encourage those teams that are having low percentage to improve their code coverage metrics. Okay, so further down, I can also drill down here to go to a specific user story and get more information out of it. So here I can go and drill down to a specific user story. I can see that code coverage metric being updated here, and I can also go to the history to see what was that user story, what was updated. So you can see that being updated here, and I can also go and see the commit messages as I start committing the data. So I could see that for this particular user story I have 1 files, but there may be user stories more than 1 file are associated with it. So this will help me to drill down to a specific user story, get to add more test cases that can cover it. So this way I can improve the quality. So the way it works is I have a DevOps integration with the Jenkins. Here I have the integration, and I also have the user-defined field that will go and capture that code coverage metrics. Now, one more thing to highlight here, I can go to the pipelines module within Octane, where I can see these 2 jobs were run a few minutes ago, and there are 32 test cases passed. They are all JUnit test cases, and then following that job, I have update user story code, that REST API we talked about. So I can also kick off this job here. Moreover, I can go and drill down to the specific build which run just now. So here I can go to this build and look into the statistics. So now I have the Jacoco code coverage metrics here. I can go into this particular build and then get to the detail level. So let's go to, actually let me go here and then click on code coverage report. So here I can go by package, and then let us choose one. Let's say add contact. There I could see these are the different methods being called, and I can go and see that actual the coverage report. So the bottom line is code coverage is one of the metrics that we monitor to improve the quality. However, having the code coverage metrics in place promotes productive collaboration between dev and QA team and a culture of continuous testing and code quality. It also helps to improve software delivery speed by shifting left. That means testing early in the development life cycles and identifying the defects early. This way we can improve the speed and scale without compromising the quality. Thank you.